a good launch into our discussion on self-care and mental health today. So, we're coming upon the holidays, and this is a time when we usually get more time off. And that could be something that people are looking forward to. But in the space of isolation, I think it's very important for us to be intentional about how we use this time, because when we use our time to replenish, if we're not intentional with it, we can go back to normal and still feel depleted, right? And so what we're talking about today, self-care and mental health, I think is just in time for the holidays, and helping to give some tools and talk about self-care and talk about what we need to reset, recharge, and replenish ourselves so that we can go into 2021 not carrying this baggage, this weight from 2020. We need to leave. Can we agree that we can leave 2020 and 2020? It's like Vegas. It can stay in Vegas. Like, we're just going to leave everything that has happened in 2020 right on here on the mantle, sit it there. We remember it. We won't deny it, but we don't leave it behind.
I'm just going
Right?
to delete it.
Delete it. It's fine.
But
Yeah.
let it be the fuel. Let it be the fuel that moves us into 2021. Because as awful as it has been, it really has just pushed us into a space of recognizing, like, we keep recognizing, like, anytime there's a tragedy, it always illuminates the worst of the worst. And so a hurricane, a pandemic, a war, those will always illuminate who suffers the most in our society. And so my hope is that as we leave 2020, we let it be the fuel to remind us that health inequities are looming bright. Social inequities are looming vastly. Economic inequities are looming. And so as much as we hate the fact that 2020 has kicked our asses, we have to let it, fuel us and not back down on protesting, demonstrating, organizing. Because I hear that a lot. 2020 is 2020. And it's like 2020 pushed us into a space.
It has. And so there is room for appreciation for that, for sure. And I appreciate your perspective in saying that, it's like when you're in bad health, you recognize how much you appreciate good health, right? When you're in bad times, you recognize how much you appreciate good times. Sometimes it takes us experiencing what the lack in order to really appreciate the abundance. And so 2020 has definitely put us into that place and given us some perspective. Hi, Miss Free. How are you? Glad to have you with us.
Hey there. How you guys doing?
Hi. Good. Thank you. I know you're a client of Tina's. Did she invite you to join us?
Yes, she did. So I just tuned in. I'm just catching up. I was in the other room, but just happy to be here. Hey, Victor.
Hello, Free. How are you?
I'm good.
How you guys doing?
Hey, Miss Tina. Hi, Desi.
Free Marie Wright. I know who you are.
Yeah, right. The Free Marie Wright.
Hi, Desi.
Hello.
I'm loving that green over there, lady.
I do what I can.
Isn't it?
I see.
That color pops on you so well. All right, so I want to jump us into, and this is a discussion, so I'm glad you guys are on the camera. So feel free, chime in and tell me what your thoughts are. So I put a list of what self-care is, and I would love for you to add to that list as well. On the top of my list is self-care is self-love and honoring your needs. So if we just don't even define it, because we can define it in our own ways, right? At the core, self-care is really honoring what it is that we need and having the mindfulness around recognizing when we're depleted and we need a moment to self-care, or not even just when we're depleted, just when we need a moment for ourselves. Self-care, and so the big part of that is self-awareness. Like I was just saying, knowing ourselves, knowing our limits, knowing when to say no. I don't know if anybody else struggles with that, but me as a mom and somebody who supports so many people, sometimes we just want to say yes to support people, but it might not be in alignment with what we need or what feels right for us. Self-care is also self-compassion and knowing sometimes that we need to go easier on ourselves or give ourselves a break. when we make mistakes, understanding that it's okay, it happens sometimes, or if we overdo it, not getting, I looked at Jeannie Mai on the reel, and she got really upset with herself because she pushed herself so hard and her body broke down, which is what happens, right? When we don't stop, we get a nudge, we get a push, we get a slap, and then we just get knocked down. And it's like the universe tells us, our bodies tell us it is time, and we get the hints, but we don't always take heed to them. Yet we also have to recognize that we can do better next time if we didn't do what we should have, quote unquote, the first time. So that's where the self-compassion piece comes in. Rest and replenishment, so important, right? We're going to talk more about that. And nourishment for your mind, body, and spirit, managing your energy. So what is self-care to you all? I would love to hear what self-care looks like for you, or what your take on what is self-care.
I think
Can I go ladies first?
You said all of them.
Yeah. You know what happened with me, Amber? I don't know if you know, not many people know my story, but I was at JP Morgan for a lot of years, right? Like towards the last year there, I started like just having like headaches, started getting sick for no reason, like completely like I would go to the doctor, they would do a bunch of blood work. I'm the healthiest person in the world. Like this is what they're telling me, like, and I would get sick, and I was wondering. Then next thing you know, I realized I was unhappy at JP Morgan. It was not. The universe was telling me it's time for you to move forward, and I didn't realize it. It took a little long because I'm stubborn, I'm loyal, I don't listen. You know, I'm saying, I'm a guy.
Amen.
So it took me a while. Then one day I just said, screw it, and I was like, I'm done. I came home. I had quit. Like an 8-year career at JP Morgan private client. I was like, I'm done. I can't do it no more. And as soon as I did that, I can't tell you the last time I've been sick, and that was a couple of years ago. Mm-hmm. Like it's crazy.
Disease equals disease, right? You were not at ease, and your body was not able to get back to a point of calm and health because your mind wasn't there.
Yeah. And the same day I quit, I started my little basketball league online. I was like, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna start a basketball league. So I created it that day. And first 2 years, I didn't make no money, but I swear I had so much fun. Yeah. And it was like the most peaceful, the best I've ever felt. I didn't make a lot of money, but I got back in finance in like a year. I opened my own practice, but probably that right there, that time, that moment, probably just it was more me focused on myself because I gave everything to everybody always.
So walking away, and you chose yourself that day.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
I lost a lot of family too.
Fact that you did that takes a lot of courage. I think a lot of us, I know, especially as a coach, that a lot of us stay in situations that don't serve us well because they're convenient and we're not uncomfortable enough, and we can just ignore the things that bother us until, right? Yeah. And so
I'm glad I didn't.
Well to walk away. And now you love what you're doing where you are. So since you're giving shout outs, go ahead and tell us where you are before I move to my next slide.
Well, I still run my sports league. We're going into our third season as soon as COVID is done. I started my own practice with New York Life. I do everything. I moved all my licenses over. Now I have my own office. So more mobile, freedom. I don't have to worry about a 9 to 5. Get to choose my own clients, my own people that I want to work with. I don't have to work with people that they tell me to, And and now I got into my creative side now. Like I'm doing podcasts now, and I'm producing a podcast. I'm working on my third one, and looking to launch a couple of them. So just
now, how are you feeling? Let's highlight that.
Oh well, I mean, I've been, right after I left JP Morgan, I became vegan, and health wise, I'm a grandpa now. I'm a little older, so. Health-wise, I'm the healthiest I've ever been now, maybe even 10, 15 years ago when and I have blood work to prove it. Other than that, health-wise, mentally, I learned to ask for help. During this time was mentally, I was putting so much pressure on myself, and I want to do everything myself, which I kind of did. For so long, like everything, like no help from nobody.
Yeah.
And that's been the biggest challenge for me. And I think during this time, mentally, by doing that, it relieved a lot of stress for me.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Victor. I'm gonna go into what self-care is not, and then invite you all to chime in again and tell me if this resonates with you, because some of what you said is on this list, right? So although it can seem like it is, self-care is not taking better care of others than we do of ourselves. Like I should have put that first. It's second, but I'm gonna say that one first. It's not ignoring the sides that you need rest, as if it's just gonna go away if you just ignore it and don't do anything about the fact that your body and your mind is telling you that you need a break. Self-care is not saying yes all the time. It's not pushing it to the limits all the time. Sometimes we got to push it to the limit, but it's knowing when to stop, right? It's also not comparing your needs to others. What you need has nothing to do with what somebody else needs. Somebody else might only need 4 hours of sleep. Some people tell me, I only need 4 hours of sleep at night. I need 6 to 8 hours of sleep, and I recognize that.
Enough.
Yeah, right? You know, but some people are like, they only need 4. Self-care is not giving into bad habits. That's a good one I want to ask you all to chime in on as well. It's not focusing on problems and fears, because sometimes that can feel good. As much as we don't like to admit it, sometimes there's a little bit of satisfaction that we get about complaining, right? And focusing on the problems. That is not self-care. Self-care is also not artificial pleasure. Sometimes by artificial pleasure, I mean finding pleasure in things that are not healthy for us. You know, like some people may say, oh, I want to go out and drink when I'm not feeling good. It makes me feel better. But that's something that comes from outside of you. And that's something that can actually deplete you. And so that is not necessarily the best form of self-care, although I am all about a glass of red wine for self-care, because that's a part of my regimen, but it's in balance or in moderation, right? Ultimately, self-care is not selfish, and ultimately self-care is healthcare. So do any of the things on this list resonate with anyone that's on with us? Do you find yourself giving into any of the things that self-care is not?
Definitely taking care of other people and thinking that means I'm taking care of myself, or that like taking care of other people and just be like, I'll be all right. I'll be okay. Don't worry. I know I'm going to be okay, but let me make sure they're okay. But then sometimes you're not okay.
What is your checkpoint in that? What do you put in place to stop yourself from doing that? Because I hear you have awareness around it.
Mm-hmm.
But how do you prevent it?
I just I think I make better choices with it now. Instead of, you can't save everybody and everything, right? And you can't make choices for everybody and everything. So you kind of have to you can't save everything or fix everything. That was my thing,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's the hardest thing. One of the hardest things to do is to say no, especially to the people you love, you know?
Because you care, right? And so you're thinking, because I care, I don't want to see them hurting. However, even at sometimes at our own expense. But here's another thing, also recognizing that a part of their own self-efficacy is learning how to fix their own problems. We can't do it for everybody, right? We're actually a disadvantage to them. It's like the child who's coddled that never learns to do things for themselves. We're doing a disadvantage when we do too much for other people. And of course, we all know the saying that we can't pour from an empty cup. So if we're sitting over here with an empty cup trying to help other people out, we're ineffective ultimately.
Yeah, and you feel the obligation sometimes, or the loyalty, like Victor said, can keep you somewhere for so long that you shouldn't be, especially when it comes to work, you know. And like Victor said, I had a situation where I was getting migraines, hospitalized, miserable. Thought I had, like he said, I went to every doctor's appointment. I said, CAT scan, cut me up, something's wrong. You know, I'm getting migraines, and it was just stress. So part of my self-love and care was that I had to start to learn to get massages when I recognized the tension building up in my body for whatever I was, was going on. And I had to leave that job. So I get what Victor's saying.
Massages.
Massages. We have to add that to the list.
My doctor literally said there's nothing wrong with you. You have stress and you need massages. So they diagnosed me with massages for 3 months, once a week, which some people look at like, oh, that's the life. But no, those massages are painful. And the afterwork is painful, but you then learn how to take care of your body through it. I learned so much through massages that right now I know what I need. I know I need to do a downward dog right now, so I'll be right back.
You know,
Hey, Free,
As they're
you know what?
pushing through and pushing out those toxins.
they do,
Yeah, it's
and
so
the
amazing.
massages move our toxins, but they also get us. That's a way of circulation, right? It gets us
Yeah,
unstuck. And oftentimes,
Yeah.
when we are not at ease, we are stuck in a situation, and the massage
Yeah.
is physical movement, but along with the mental movement, I
Yeah.
totally, I think the
A
massage is
great massage too. Like there are massage therapists that, I'm not saying massage envy is bad, but you want someone who's done it for years, because it really is the difference in releasing
yeah,
and to get to the place where you can think about the self-care and love, because when you're in pain, you can't think of those things.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
And massage envy is not bad.
I'm not saying they're
I've been with
bad.
that. No,
Right. Chase and
It's
massage envy. We're not saying that either of
no,
you
no.
are bad.
No, we love massage
Her.
envy. Just
Yeah,
you
listen,
want someone who knows, like, to find
yeah,
what's wrong in your body.
yeah. They
3
got to
years
be
or
able
more.
to know. Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
the one in Edgewater actually has about like 2 of them that are really good.
I
I've been going there
remember
for like 8
Edgewater.
years.
Yeah, I go to
Yeah,
Edgewater Massage.
yeah.
And
I've
I'm
been
in
going there for 8
Boston
years.
now.
you got to
They're
come
really
to
good.
that one, right?
Yeah.
I remember
Before
Edgewater.
you go to
Edgewater was good. I'm in Boston now.
okay. When you come back and Tina is about to slay your hair, get your massage and your
I
facial
will.
first, so you don't have to worry about them messing up the edges or anything. And
I
Tina will
will.
take care of you after.
Just don't show them this Zoom. That's all.
Acupuncture
Oh,
too,
you're
Free.
beautiful always. I just want to take a second and say hi to Natalie Castillo. Thank you for joining us. Natalie is with the
Hi,
Mobile
Natalie.
Moms. Good to see you. Hi.
Hey, sorry, I was on mute. Hi, everyone.
Hi,
I look
Natalie.
crazy. I'm not going
Hi,
on
Natalie.
video.
Yes. All right. So I'm going to jump back in and we're going to talk about.
I just realized I was on mute. Sorry. I just wanted to chime in for 1 second on doing for others, because I do find, and I think all of this is balance. I think, when we're having the issues that we have, it's generally because of an imbalance, that there is some disproportionate weight on one side. And so you could look at that in terms of gender or race or mental health or emotional health. And I do think that I find that if I do get too deeply into my own stuff, I always recognize if there's somebody else in bigger trouble or suffering more than me. And so I do find that like volunteering and doing for others can be replenishing for me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I think understanding, like you do have to put it into perspective. You can't be in situations where people are consistently pulling from your well. But I do find that if I get wrapped up in my own sort of, even like when I get into my whole first world problems stuff, that there are people who could benefit from the gifts that I have. And so I find that if I can serve a dinner or pack a pantry box or read to kids or do something for elders, that is a way to me to replenish my spirit and kind of put things back into balance. So I think recognizing that giving can be a way of replenishing, as long as it's not in balance.
I agree. I think the times that you do community work, when you choose like, I'm gonna go, like I serve dinners and teach ESL and computers at Rosie's, and that is the time that I feel like I'm giving, but it's also a self-love time. So I think that's what you're saying. Yeah,
exactly.
I agree.
And I love that. Thank you for contributing that. I think the expansion of what self-care and self-love looks like is really important, right? Because like we said, like that it can if it makes you feel good and it doesn't hurt you, then in some ways it's self-care. And sometimes that can even just look like you're saying, appreciation and savoring. It doesn't have to be some big grand act of, going and doing something. You can just be in the moment and do nothing and appreciate the moment that you have, and appreciate what you have. And that's an act of self-care as well. Yeah. So some of the sources of depletion, what is interesting about this list, and these are like, I'm always coming with the science-based positive psychology. So these are actually scientifically proven sources of depletion. And I'm going to read through the list and then ask you what it sounds like to you, because I laughed when I looked at this list. Stress, anxiety and depression, pain, making decisions, taking initiatives, multitasking, restraining impulses, denying one's feelings, sleep deprivation, substances, weak immune system, premenstrual cycle, low blood sugar. When old folks used to say my sugars is low, that's what this meant, right? And social isolation. So this list of sources of depletion, to me, sounds like a lot of just so many of these things are everyday life. We have to multitask in everyday life. We have to make decisions, take initiatives in everyday life. We have stress of some sort. We have to make sure we get enough sleep, right? So in all, life can be pretty depleting, right? And so what is it that we will do about that? What do you all think about this list? And is there anything that I've left off? What depletes you or leaves you feeling worn out? I just thought of one, being around people with bad energy. That's another one. I'm adding that to the list.
I can't be around people with bad energy. I literally like, I'm gone. I'm gone. Like, I don't even like, I would literally walk away from somebody.
Stay away from vampires.
Yeah, I literally, I'm good. I'm good. I'm out. I walk away.
The PMS one got me.
Yeah.
The PMS one, and the PMS one, I have this joke that I'm really only like 32 years old because for 1 week of the month for my entire life since 13, you know, I'm in pain, nauseous, sick, throwing up, can't walk, feet swollen, ankles swollen, back hurts. And this has been my life. And so I'm really not as old as I am. So PMS for me.
Yeah. And knowing that that's coming every month. What do you, Free, what do you do
Let's say that about that.
Prepare or replenish after?
Yes, you can. Look at my face.
I just know we got to, I know as men, we have to deal with that time.
I literally, I take Fem Plus, I take, you know, some extra vitamins, some burdock root. I try to, I haven't been working out as often as I should, but I try to every day, because that really helps me. But no matter what, I'm stretching every day, and it's all in the, you know, choices and eating. But sometimes there's nothing I can do. I just have to sit it down for a day or two, you know, and just take Motrin and whatever. And I just try to stay upbeat, stay funny with it, you know. But that's something that has depleted me in my life for sure.
Yeah.
It sucks.
I hear you mentioning stay funny with it, and laughter is definitely a way of replenishing, right? Like that. Sometimes watching a funny movie, just getting ourselves in that space where we can lighten the mood is really useful. Yeah.
And showers and hot baths, pools. I love a pool. I love to swim. Anything like that is gonna get me in a good space during that time. So that's what I do.
So I wanted to tell you one thing about that, about your the stuff you're taking. I apologize. I didn't mean to jump.
Yes.
But I know you're taking vitamins, right? And you're taking like burdock root, which is great.
Yeah.
During these couple years that I've been transitioning into vegan, I've been all this stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
What I learned is inflammation. Most of the stuff that we have, your pain and stuff, is caused by some form of inflammation, right?
In the body. Mm-hmm.
In the body, right? What I learned from taking turmeric and ginger every day, it's a natural anti-inflammatory. So if you put yourself on a daily regimen of taking that every day, then naturally your body will be reacting to the inflammation in a different way. So I had multiple ankle surgeries. So,
okay, I had one too.
And that inflammation is crazy. So over time, I know that when I went on that regimen, I don't have those pains anymore.
Okay.
I play basketball, and I used to like be hurting for like 2 days. I don't have that anymore.
So
I don't have the So
question. I did turmeric. I did turmeric in the morning with like lemon and honey for a while, and I do think I felt a difference. But then I keep ginger in my refrigerator, like boiled ginger.
Yeah.
In that form, or do you think it's better like in like a capsule form? Because I keep ginger.
Go capsule because but if you go organic and you get the right capsules without the vegan capsule without the plastic and stuff.
Yeah.
If you get the capsules, you'll because you're not gonna do ginger every day. You're not gonna shave the ginger. You're not gonna boil the teas.
Yes, I do.
But you can though.
Yes, I do.
I want to hear that.
You can, but I
do.
I try to be efficient with my time. You know.
Well,
you could do that.
I'm gonna chime in.
Way better.
If you weren't gonna do it at all, it's better to go capsule. But if you can, and I hear Free saying that she actually doesn't mind, if you can and you will, I chop up my ginger at the beginning of the week. I shave all my turmeric gloves on at the beginning of the week. Put it in little plastic bags. Put it in the blender. I keep it cold
and I keep it in the freezer.
Yeah.
I keep it cold and I'll heat it up. I boil it like all together for it. But I haven't put the turmeric in a while, so thank you, Victor.
Yeah. I juice it. I juice them, a whole bunch of it. And I juice it and I take
See,
like little
Victor,
shots and stuff.
you talking to gangsters right here. You know,
I see.
I love you guys.
you know,
y'all don't know
like,
about me.
I'm all for, like, you know, the capsules, and if you are in a hurry and you need to really keep that moving, those are definitely alternatives.
Nice
we
treat.
just happen to be folks that, you know, do our ginger and turmeric in its natural form.
Oh, look, he's showing us the cabinet.
And the color.
Right. Okay.
Even, for me, it's even color therapy. Like, even
I love
just seeing that turmeric, that bright orange,
this is my
beautiful
right
turmeric is, I love it.
Yeah.
Hey.
Nice.
You got a good
spirulina
assortment.
Yeah, that's spirulina.
Hawaiian
that's amazing.
Spirulina.
Yeah, that stuff is that's a game changer for men. I could tell you that.
The tree is so pretty.
Yeah, get your man. Oh, thank you.
We're all coming up with drinks after COVID.
Oh, let's do it. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I have a different perspective on that, but we could talk another day for that. That's another class.
So that actually takes us into what does replenishment look like for you? How do you honor your replenishment? And that can be another class, right? It doesn't always fit into the textbooks. So the ultimate question is, what is it worth to you? And that was actually a part of what I was thinking about you, Victor, when you were giving your story about being at Chase and, you know, you're in this position, you're making good money, and you could have said, no, for me, what's most important is staying and making money in a comfortable setting. Yet your health was worth more than that comfort to you, which drove you to make the move to going on your own, right? And I think that's a big question that we have to ask ourselves is, what is it worth to you? Right. So this is a list, but we kind of went over a lot of this, creating your self-care toolkit. So I'll go through these and just mention them for folks that are on Facebook. See, you should have joined us live, but we're glad that you're on Facebook listening. So I'm going to read over these, and also for people listening who might not be looking at the screen. I also want to invite the folks who are listening, even if you don't turn your camera on, if you want to chime in and just take yourself off mute at any point, you're welcome to, or if you just want to sit back and listen, we're just glad to have you with us. So whatever works for you works for us. All right, so self-care toolkit, nourishing food and supplements, as we just talked about. I had to go back and add that to my list. Adequate sleep, taking naps. Sometimes we need to take naps. The other day, like, I often work until late in the middle of the night. I have 2 kids, and so I'm working there at home, and I can't concentrate as much during the day. So sometimes at night, I just need to work and concentrate when I'm not interrupted, right? But that can equal me staying up until 4 in the morning. And so when that happens, I will, if I'm the next day feeling tired and I can take a 30-minute nap and not getting into deep REM sleep is actually really recharging for us. If you let yourself get too deeply into sleeping in the daytime, then, you know, that can throw off your circadian rhythm, and that's a whole other thing. But just taking a nice little 30-minute nap, definitely a self-care toolkit superstar. Meditation, and I would love to hear you all go into detail on these. So I'm just going to list them and then we'll go back to them. Journaling, practicing gratitude. We talked about that. Savoring natural pleasures, exercise, time in nature, reflection, relaxation in whatever way that looks. Organization. I'm going to go into that one in a second. Deep breathing, a cup of tea, simple, right? But replenishing. Laughing, we talked about that, moving to music, and luxuriating, taking that bubble bath. I want to go back to organization and just share with you all, as the end of the year is nearing, I have felt like my house is getting cluttered. My kids change sizes every couple months. They have a ton of clothes. I love clothes. I collect stuff and have been in the house, right? So I felt like things were kind of piling up on me. And so when we organize our physical space, it's actually can be the physical manifestation of us organizing our mental space. And organization can really, really help you feel better and even make your space more enjoyable for you. And so again, I want to open up and invite you all to chime in on this. Do any of these, would you put any of these in your self-care toolkit? Would you add any to it? Tell me how you all are feeling. And I'm going to grab my charger, but I can still hear you guys. Okay.
I do all of those things.
You do?
Me too.
I literally do every single one of those things. And another thing that I would add is I like to polish my nails. Like that process of
Nice.
just, you know, there's nothing like getting like a fresh new bottle of nail polish. It's like not expensive. It's temporary. So even if it's something like, clearly I'm a little bit more comfortable with color. I'd like to think that I use a sophisticated use of color. But you know, for some people, that can be a nice little thing, or put it on your toes where people may not see it. But that kind of little ritual for me is really good. Like I love like fresh, shiny new nails.
Pretty. Let me see your nails now.
That.
Let me see your nails.
They're green right now.
I could. How did we know that? The bath thing is it for me. I love to run a bath and put the salts and the magnesium and some Aveeno. I literally have a whisk for my bath by the time I put the neem oil and a drop of this and a cap of this. So I love the bath. That does it for me. Water, like I said, water, shower, beach. I need water.
Yeah. Can you tell us a bit more about neem oil? I'm just
I'm burning some incense right now.
Familiar with that.
I know. I gotta put what's this called? A Putch House stick? A paleo stick? Hold on. Paleo. Hold on. Neem oil. I have I grew up with really bad skin, eczema. And so I mean bad, where the nurses couldn't get the knives, the knives, oh my God, the needles into my arm. So my mom learned early on, about my skincare, and it was a lot that we had to learn. So neem oil is something that we just put a couple of drops in the bath, and it just helps to moisturize, but also what's the word? Deodorize a little. It helps the bacteria. It helps with the eczema. That, some Aveeno, the powder, a nice oil like the Alpha Curry bath, and some other things, whatever smell you like, and get a whisk like the one in the kitchen, but don't use it in the kitchen again, and then whisk it all up
in the bathtub.
In the bathtub
and mix it all up. Oh, I love
I'm making these packages. They'll be for sale soon, but it's what I do. I make them for different people, dry skin, soft, whatever. So that the bath is it for me. Shower, soap, like the smells of what you're using for soap can help you through the day, right? If I'm getting up in the morning, I'm tired, I know I got to jog, I need a citrus something, right? But if I'm going to go to bed,
it's
or the shower, I'm going to go to bed, I might use the Johnson's bed bath or Johnson's. So the shower for me is everything.
It's therapeutic.
Yeah, whatever smells I use, and I have to be careful because I'm super sensitive, so everything has to be natural.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's important with the stuff you put on your body. So the lotions, the body washes, you got to really use the ones right now that are like no chemicals, because zero chemicals, clean, super clean, because this is important.
I'm
The
a black
deodorants.
soap girl.
I use black soap too. I
use black soap, and then I love this soap by Beekman. Beekman is a company that do everything with goat milk, and it's just their creams, everything. It's just a different type of moisture, I like the it's called Beekman 18.
Feverish notes here.
Yeah.
Beekman.
I'm gonna check out Beekman. I love that.
Yeah, Beekman 1801. Just try bar this soap. I steal them from my aunt all the time.
Your aunt's on Facebook, and she been like, I've been wondering where my soap is.
Okay. Oh no, she'll chase me. No, she chases me out the house. She knows I have it.
Hey Desi, speaking of notes, I took something from you, which I don't think I've ever heard. But you said
you're gonna start
about
polishing your toes now?
No, earlier you said health, wealth, mental inequities.
Yeah.
I never heard that before, and I was like, whoa. And me being in finance, I was like, I never even used that word, inequities.
Yeah, because that's what
thinking
creates
about it,
the extreme imbalance in our society. And so social inequities and fiscal inequities and economic inequities and racial inequities and gender inequities.
Yeah. It's funny because I was like, man, that hit home. I was writing that ever since then.
See what happens when you show up, Victor. So Victor, give us for men who feel like self-care is not for them, I want you to speak to that. What does self-care look like for you as a man? And what do you think that what do you think the misconceptions around self-care is with men?
We feel like the things that you guys do don't apply to us. and that's not the truth. So I've been, please don't put my business out there, but I've been using women moisturizers. I've been wearing moisturizers since for over 10 years now.
How come? Did someone tell you that your nose, you needed to clean your nose?
Oh yeah, so I used
because men have blackheads and they need to.
Yeah,
my boyfriend hates me. I'd be like, "Come here, baby."
Yeah, but
just
I gotta tell you, Frey, that's nutritional. Your skin problems, that's all in your gut. That's no matter what you put outside in your body, outside, it ain't gonna do nothing. If what you put inside, it's gonna be more damaging. Because we put the skin on all the products that we got to use to put externally, right? That's cool, and it helps physically, but it's what we actually put in our guts is our skin. Because once I started eating right, I'll tell you, I had the same issues for you. I think pimples crazy, big monsters on my nose out of nowhere. Mad blackheads.
So let's talk about that for a second. So what do you do?
Food is medicine.
Food is So I've been following. I've been in transition for a while. So over 10 years, I said, you know what? I'm not eating red meat anymore. I just did it because I just couldn't do it anymore. And I just transitioned. But what I noticed is that once I started changing those things and then I started following Dr. Zebi years ago. And he just made it so simple for me because I'm a simple dude. You tell me something, and it's like, and if I can understand it. Like it adds up, and it adds up. It just adds up. If something adds up, 2 + 2 adds up. You can't lie about it. So everything he said just literally added up to me. Like, wow, that makes sense. That adds up. It's right. So once I started thinking about what God put on this earth, we've always had the tools to heal. It's always been here. We've never needed all this stuff. If we've become commercialized with the U.S. and Western medicine and all these doctors telling us what we need to do, but you never tell us how to nutrition, how to eat right. They never tell us they're going to heal us.
But that came from those social inequities. Like when indigenous people were not allowed to, indigenous people were sort of the first trustees of the earth. They were the ones who knew about the connection between the body and the spirit and the earth. Black people were ripped from Africa and brought to this country because of what we knew about agriculture and what we know about growing food. And so those social and racial inequities have created that imbalance in our connection to what we put in our bodies. We had shamans and witch doctors and voodoo priestesses. Like those are the women and the men who made medicine from our earth.
And we've been conditioned.
And so the more we industrialized,
this is the preferred way with prescriptions in Western medicine over the medicine that was for years, thousands of thousands of years before the pharmaceutical companies.
Back in the 50s, Roosevelt Island used to have, the place where they would send people that were schizo or had different needs for mental health. And back then, if you had bad cramps or a bad period, they considered that you needed mental health. They gave women, they called it water baths, right? So the treatment could be 3 days, at a certain temperature in the water bath, and they would put you in a claw tub with your hands and head out so you could eat. Some people might be comfort a day for 2 hours with a cool bath, like whatever it was they did. And that was how they treated mental illness or whatever they called it, or just when you anxiety. That's how they treated all those things back then, was with water until the pills came in. You can look it up. It's called a water bath, water treatment, but they have pictures of it from Roosevelt Island. The little history.
There's a plant for everything. There's if you do research on the plants, most of these plants are catered and tailored to certain organs in our bodies. Some of them are even shaped like it, look like
how walnuts work for our brain.
It's like it's been there, but
just gotta pay attention.
But we made a choice to forget Those are choices that we made. The information was always there, but we were all like me. I was conditioned because my family. Like I tell you how many people died in the last couple of years. You wouldn't believe it for me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But it was all health. It's all like there's all many of the reasons why I've driven to be the way I am. Because if I didn't disconnect from that, I would have been just like every last one of them.
Yeah, it's disconnecting. And it's disconnecting from the nourishment of family and the family food you grew up from and all that. So having to relearn what can nourish you without killing us, right?
It was hard because I was eating a lot of carbs in the beginning of my veganism because they didn't have all these options for me now. But like I kind of stay away from carbs. So now I realize what starch really is.
Yeah, sugar.
Starch is a chemical. Starch is a chemical and it's a binder. It's a binder. So
we gotta get you back for a health lunch and learn, Victor. I didn't know you knew all of this. Victor, why don't we talk about these things when we hang out? I like this type of talk.
But because you like to talk about money, that's why.
I like to talk about money too. I'm all about well-being and financial well-being.
No.
Part of that.
Amber, this is wonderful.
Yeah, my mindset changed over time.
Amber, thank you.
Yeah, my change changed. It just it really did change. It started years ago, but my mind, like I can't tell you, I'm not nowhere near the same person I was 10 years ago.
Yeah,
maybe even 5.
And the conviction in what you're saying, like it comes from a place of knowing the other side. That's where we started off in talking about, right? Like when you know the lack of, then you know how good it feels when you have it, when you have the
to replenish it.
We were conditioned men too. You want to know like really about men, right? We were conditioned to be a certain way all our lives. It was on TV, it was on our parents. It was like we were conditioned not to be emotional, not to be able to, not to cry in front of nobody. That's weak, that's soft, right? Not to tell somebody how you feel. That's weak, that's soft.
Right.
These are,
not to do self-care, not to do
self-care. Why would you put that? Why would you use that? Like, why would you, why would you be like relaxing like that? You should be on the streets, hustling all day, every day. It's like so many things we have to do.
Victor, that has so much to do with misogyny and with weakening the station of women, because to be associated with being like a woman means that you're not equal or you're not worthy. And so
I don't believe that. I never did.
And well, that's great.
I have a daughter. I have a granddaughter. You understand? Women is like
the roots of that is misogyny. Homophobia, toxic masculinity, because anything that is associated with anything feminine or being a woman means that you're not whole. And so we have to be able to. That would be to me the root of being able to root out toxic masculinity and homophobia is if we have full respect for what it is to be a woman. Because then if you're identified in some way that is, and I'm not saying that men and women are the same, I do believe that there are clearly differences biologically, physically, emotionally, spiritually about that yin and that yang. But we do have to recognize that so much of toxic masculinity and homophobia is rooted in misogyny.
Yeah. And when we tap into our true divinity, we recognize that we have a divine masculine and feminine. No one is women have a masculine side and men have a feminine side. And that is something to embrace, not to reject or to be ashamed of. I think that, and I'm going to take my little slide off so we can see each other again. I just wanted to make this statement, and you all are saying it, but being intentional about your mental health and self-care is what we're really getting to. If there are folks, you all are so educated, like you're educating me, but if there are folks who are on and you had to look at one strong takeaway from this, it would be to be intentional about your self-care and your mental health, and not just to leave it to chance or not just to leave it to when you get to it, but actually making time for it and coming up with what do I put in my self-care kit? We've shared so many good resources in this last hour together, and it's been incredible to have your input and sharing with us like the things that you do. I didn't have nail polish on my list, but Desi, I love that. And I've heard you say that before. And it is such a small act in polishing your nails. I had a client this morning that she got her nails polished and it made her so happy. She's an older woman who really, she was so happy that her nails were filed and polished, right? And like those little things, and just recognizing what it is that we can do to honor ourselves, to practice self-love, is self-care. So I'm so happy that